Welcome, Leonard Cohen.
Thank you so much for inviting me down to your boat. I appreciate it.
My studio, my summer studio. You like it?
Very agreeable.
Right now you're touring, and I think are you having 55 concerts, you said?
I think this is maybe the 54th or the 55th concert.
You're going to have in Stockholm, yeah. But I read somewhere that you have a notorious fear of meeting your audience. Is that true?
Well, I don't like touring so often. Every 3 years or so, I do a tour, a long tour, maybe 80 or 100 concerts. But I like to meet the audience.
You used to be afraid of that more.
I don't remember. I think I have had amnesia in the past few years.
Yes. How did you get over it then?
Well, it's nothing you want to get over. It's wonderful to forget the past.
Talking about your songs, actually, are they fantasies or are they real life?
I think they're the very opposite of fantasy. I can tell you that they're reportage. They are accurate and precise descriptions of actual events and actual states of mind. I think of myself as a reporter, a journalist, rather than that terrible term that I'm somewhat described with the poet. I never liked that description.
No, you've been analyzed a lot. You just don't seem to like that.
Well, I don't think it's an activity for myself. It's legitimate, I think, for other people if they want to gossip about things or look into things deeply. That's quite legitimate. But to be asked to describe yourself, I think, it's a mistake to cooperate with that kind of investigation.
Because I think there's been quite a lot of pretentious writing about you and your songs.
Well, I think there's a lot of pretentious writing about everything, you know, and, my songs are set, they're a setup for that kind of, they invite that kind of analysis. But, there was this, when the white man came to America and he introduced the mirror, there were a lot of Indian tribes that refused to accept the mirror. They said that your face is for other people to look at, not for you to look at. So I feel that way about my life and my songs. I don't think it's appropriate for me to describe myself. I think it's for other people to develop an opinion of what they think.
But aren't really good love songs banal? Shouldn't they be?
Well, in a certain sense, all our culture is banal. It's just nail polish. It's just nail polish on the real nails, real fangs and nails of society, which is really based on power and money. And on top of this, when a society gets sufficiently affluent, it has, its culture, its love songs, its movies, its literature. Whenever things get tough, those things evaporate immediately. So in a sense, all of it is banal.
When you sing about love, it has, I think, always been like kind of a war between lovers. But now you're getting older, and it seems that if you've come to some sort of ceasefire in this war.
It's true that I'm getting older. That part is true.
We all are.
And I like to learn to stop bravely at the surface now. I think there's a great deal to be said for stopping at the surface. The surface itself is the most accurate reflection of the depths. Once you go into the depths, it's dark. The surface is bright. I like to stay there more and more now.
Are you a happy man?
I've never been this happy. I've never been this happy.
Looking at your smashing backup girls, I would say you're a dirty old man.
Well, they're very kind to me, and they humor me, but they never welcome me in any intimate sense.
What kind of a life do you live today?
Well, I couldn't speak about the interesting things.
Why?
But because those really are private. But
yeah.
My life is mostly devoted to work. And I think it always has been. I've gotten very interested in my work as I get older. I think as you get older, your work becomes important. It's there that you locate your self-respect.
Today you have a lot of new young fans. buying your records, coming to a concert. I mean, that it's kids born in the 60s, even the 70s. What attracts them, you think?
Maybe they like to have an older man in their life.
Do you feel that you have anything in common with them?
I don't even feel that I have to reach for that question to
No.
answer it. You know, I don't. I have a sense that we all live in this world, and that you know, I remember how passionate I was at the age of 7 and 8. I see my own children at the age of 13 and 15. Their emotional lives are passionate. They're highly developed. We forget that. So when my daughter recites my lyrics to me, she recites them with real understanding, and then she gave me her own book of poems to read the other day, and you know, I was touched by the depth of the feeling. So we tend to forget that the young, that their feelings are as deeply developed as our own, because the heart just, you know, cooks like shish kebab in the breast from the age of, you know, 3 or 4 right to the end. I think the emotional life of all of us is the same. So the songs are accessible to any age.
A lot of your songs remind me of Russian folk songs. And then I don't only think about the melancholy and the pain, but the irony, the sarcasm, and the humor.
Oh, Yaakov, I'm so happy to hear you say that, because I was worried that you'd just stop at the melancholy and the suffering, because
No?
that's usually what I get. Yeah, of course, the Russian people have developed an ironic and humorous position to their distress. And I like to think that my own songs have the same elements in them. Well, my mother was Russian, and I grew up hearing those songs in the house all the time. So I'm very pleased to hear you make that reference.
I think maybe that's why we in Scandinavia love your songs that much, because your music is a blend of the East and the West.
I seem to have had that kind of upbringing. Montreal itself, the city I grew up in, is poised between Europe and America. It's not really America, and it's not really Europe.
No.
So I've had that schizophrenic background to almost all my work. You know, my mother was Russian, but she was a Russian Jew, so she wasn't really Russian. Wasn't really European, wasn't really North American. So many elements of my life have placed me on a kind of fence between many kinds of influences, and I'm happy for that.
I must ask you one thing, and that is about the cover of your album, the latest album. Why do you have a banana on the...
Well, I wanted to show the evolved macho gorilla.
The Rambo in you? I don't know if he has bananas. Well, even though you don't like to analyze your songs, tell me really about the song, The Tower of Song.
Tower of Song I wrote at my kitchen table in my apartment in Los Angeles, where I was trying to finish the record. The record broke down many times, and I broke down with it many times. It was difficult to bring it to completion. Tower of Song is the last song on the record and the last song that I wrote. And it reflects the experience of the writing. It is my own particular mess. It is the last chapter in my own little soap opera.
Thank you, Leonard. The stem is yours.
Thank you very much. Shall I walk over there? Okay.